Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to week 3, day 2 here of the LCS Proving Grounds. My name is Icarus. I'm joined by none other than the beautiful, the lovely, the Smacks, who's looking like a snack today. How are you feeling, my man?
I'm good. That was quite the introduction. Thank you so much, Icarus. I'm pretty excited that we're back on the stream, and we've got some really fun matchups today. We got a civil war of sorts later on, but yeah, this first one is also going to be pretty spicy. FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians Academy.
Yeah, we do got a lot of exciting matches coming up today. We do have FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians Academy starting off, and then as you mentioned, it is going to be the Cloud9 Amateur versus Cloud9 Academy Civil War to start off to end off the rest of our day. But more importantly, we are going to be playing on the losers bracket side here. So not only do we have some really exciting matchups, but these really exciting matchups have some pretty big rewards and consequences for whether you win or lose today.
Big stakes to keep in mind for everything as we take a look at the bracket where we've all come through to get to this point. We got to see some really fun matchups in this round just yesterday. Resolve taking a 2-0 over AoE and Evil Geniuses Academy unfortunately losing in a very close series against Immortals Academy. That matchup will be taking place, I believe, in 2 days. So get ready for that one alongside the winners of our matchups today, FlyQuest and Golden Guardians, and then both Cloud9 teams. And that's sort of our roundup for the lower bracket. I believe we also can take a look at the upper bracket matchups that have been going on the past couple of weeks. And I mean, we've had some pretty crazy, like Cinderella run stories almost. I'm mainly excited for Dignitas Academy, who've made their way up to the winners semifinals against Team Liquid. Crazy performances from them.
And it's been really insane to watch how these teams on the winning side of the bracket have been able to really pop off and show how strong of teams they are. In particular, Wildcard Red has been showing up huge here as the only last standing amateur team on that top side of the bracket. They're going to be facing off against 100 Thieves later on. A lot of really talented players coming in from a lot of these amateur rosters that are trying to prove their merit here on the Proving Ground stage.
Absolutely. Wildcard Red, of course, already knocked down 100 Thieves next, so we'll see if they can take the full sweep against the entirety of the 100 Thieves organization. That one's going to be happening tomorrow, so if you want to check out the upper bracket matchups, be sure to tune in then. But we got some matchups today before that, and just to get into this one, Golden Guardians Academy just recently beat TSM Academy in this lower bracket to continue their run. Meanwhile, FlyQuest was just taken down here by that Dignitas Academy team that I mentioned before. Both of these, though, Academy squads who are wanting to keep that run alive and make it up to that top 8 at least.
Yeah, and once you have both of these teams facing off against each other, we got to keep in mind how they got here. Golden Guardians playing yesterday versus TSM. While it came off as a 2-0, it was a very close series where TSM Academy actually had them against the ropes in a couple of situations, but Golden Guardians, especially off the back of Niles, was able to turn around some of those mid to late game team fights with a couple of great ultimates and engages that were made by that topside player for the Golden Guardians Academy roster.
And on FlyQuest side, their series to make it to this matchup, a little bit less close if we're being completely honest. They got sort of trounced by Dignitas Academy's early jungle aggression from their rookie player in Will. 16 years old, and he did some pretty mean things to the members of FlyQuest Academy, so they're going to look to bounce back in this matchup. And while they also have a rookie jungler on their side in NXI, they are going to be playing up against a pretty strong early game team in Golden Guardians. I mean, we've been seeing players like Niles and like Yunbi trouncing the early laning phases. If you give up Niles' Jace and Gangplank, either one of those, he will make sure that your top laner does not have a fun time.
And we've got to talking before the stream happens here, Smacks. Do you ban out the Gangplank, or do you ban out the Jace? We saw that in the first series versus Golden Guardians, they did ban out that Gangplank, and Niles was able to pick up the Jace and win several laning phases versus an opponent. Meanwhile, in his games earlier this week, they banned out the Jace instead. He got the Gangplank. They won both of their games there. And that means that alongside that Ornn that he played in the first game of that series, he's showing that he can pick up a lot of these mid to late game team fights for himself. And it's not only showing himself as a dominant laning opponent, but also as a mid to late game engager for his team. I'm also going to be looking at the bottom lane here for Golden Guardians. Prismal and Newbie, a couple of names that we have seen on the LCS stage before, and they've been showing up really big here for the side of Golden Guardians.
Prismal has been the player to watch for Golden Guardians Academy when you think about the entire year. And I think this is one of the coolest stories for me throughout all the Academy content and all the Academy broadcasts that we've seen. He has really been the big drill sergeant for this team, the big veteran voice. Now with other veterans on the squad coming into the summer split with Niles and Newbie, as you mentioned, both of which were previously on the LCS squad, he's got more cooks in the kitchen, which can be a good thing for this team. They can provide some really strong late game carry performances. As you said, the late games against TSM were really solid, and hopefully they can get that to replicate against FlyQuest as well if they're going to be winning this series.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get ready for this game, but before we do, we're going to throw it over to a quick 2-minute delay before we head into that champion select, so do not touch your browser, do not go anywhere. We'll see you guys with the first game here between FlyQuest Academy and Golden Guardians Academy in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back as we're hopping into the first champion select here between FlyQuest Academy and Golden Guardians Academy. Heading into the first pick and ban phase, though, let's take a look at the FlyQuest Academy here, because we've been talking a lot about the Golden Guardians roster. We've been talking about Niles, we've been talking about Prismal. However, on the FlyQuest Academy side, they have a phenomenal lineup themselves here. In particular, I'm looking at the one man who can shut down these laners, and that's, of course, the one non-laner on the side of FlyQuest Academy and NXI.
NXI has been an astounding performer for FlyQuest. I mean, even stepping up when they were making those roster decisions between the LCS and Academy teams as FlyQuest Academy were doing a great job in the regular season and made the decision to swap the entire team up to LCS, and NXI, alongside the rest of the Academy squad, really made a name for themselves over there, performed quite well. And while they didn't win all those games, I think they made a case for them to be the strongest team fighting team, or teamwork-based team, I guess is a better word for it, because one thing the FlyQuest Academy has been known for throughout the entire year, both spring and summer splits, is the way that they set up for those late game skirmishes and those late game objective takes. They are really, really solid at not skipping any steps when it comes to setting up those side lanes and pushing from there. And I think NXI is a really good bridge in the early game to get them going on the right foot first, and then getting into that late game, making it a lot easier for the squad.
Teamwork makes the dream work here. Smacks is, they're going to be facing up against Golden Guardians, the team that just had that exact situation in their games earlier this weekend. Gangplank, we talked about being taken off the table here away from Niles, alongside that Syndra and Ziggs being banned away from Yunbi and Prismal. Meanwhile, on the other side, we do have the Lee Sin, the Renekton, and the Silas taken off of the board by the Golden Guardians Academy, and a Varus coming in as that first pick here for FlyQuest Academy.
I had a feeling that the Ziggs would be a really highly prioritized pick. I wasn't sure if it'd be banned on blue side, but FlyQuest proving that and this Gangplank from Niles are far too threatening to leave open. I mean, we saw what he did to TSM Academy in those late games. That was not pretty for them. I'm sure they were hoping that they banned that Gangplank by the end of it, but instead for Golden Guardians, they pick up that Ezreal that you mentioned for Prismal. They also go ahead and lock in this Trundle. This is a preparation pick to make sure that NXI can't get away with more traditional junglers that we've seen from him, things like the Xin Zhao and Late Olaf, but it also can be flexed down to the support role instead if Newbie feels like that matchup is favorable. It's really good against things like this Varus that has already been locked in for Johnson.
We do see the Rise being picked up here for Triple as well, something he's kind of starting to make a name for himself on a lot of these control mages in the mid lane, alongside that Azir, so that might be open and available for Yunbi. Yunbi's really kind of had a bit of a more performance on just the likes of the Syndra and the Rise in particular over the past few weeks here in the Proving Ground, so being able to not only ban out one of those mid lane champions away from the Golden Guardians Academy mid laner, but then picking up the second pick that he really wants to prioritize for himself is really big here for the side of FlyQuest Academy. I wouldn't be surprised to see if there's going to be a mid lane pick up here for the side of Golden Guardians Academy. I'm looking towards a Twisted Fate to match the global pressure. There it is. We see it hovered and it gets locked in, Smacks.
Yeah, typically when the Rise, the Syndra, the Silas are not on the board for Yunbi, he goes for a more supportive option like Twisted Fate, and sometimes the Karma as well, but with a champion like Trundle on your side, you do want to pack some more of a punch in that early game, and Twisted Fate does exactly that. Golden Guardians will have some roams around the Rift, alongside the global pressure that comes with a pick like this Ezreal, but as this mid laner has been locked in for Golden Guardians, they leave that top for later, which means the FlyQuest can ban both Gangplank and Jace if they decide to in this game. Golden Guardians taking away Wukong shows us that they are still keeping that Jace in mind. You do want to pick Wukong against Jace typically, so for Golden Guardians they're keeping their options alive, but it means that some of them can be taken away. As per FlyQuest right now, they can also ban away Camille if they want to do that as another Niles signature pick.
Something else we got to keep in mind here, we do have an off balance in the potential support roles. We do have that Rakan that has been picked up by FlyQuest Academy here. So if they want to try and pinch out some of those harder counters for this Rakan, such as the Leona, they'd be able to take that off of the board here if you're FlyQuest Academy, in order to take that away from Newbie, not allow him to play these kind of hard engaged champions that he's been preferring throughout these earlier stages of the game, in order to give his team that hard engage that they really need. Trundle, while he does have the pillar, isn't necessarily the most reliable source of engage, which is typically most likely left to the role of the support.
With the Xin Zhao ban from Golden Guardians, it does feel like Trundle is more likely to go support from here. As you said, they have that flex option. But typically you are picking Trundle as a counter into Xin Zhao, so I wouldn't be surprised if this fourth pick for Golden Guardians is an option for Rosethorn, and they can save that counter pick for Niles. The other option, of course, would just be picking a blind top lane or something like an Ornn or Renekton for him. Renekton, of course, can't be that option, has been banned away, but you know what?
Woo!
Why don't I just be completely wrong? How about we just lock in Bard instead for Newbie, securing that Golden Guardians are officially wanting to roam around, specifically top lane, and get Niles ahead with this comp.
Not only is it the roaming support here who is made entirely for that, but it is leaving that counter pickup for Niles, as you mentioned before, Smacks. Camille is going to be the lock in here for the side of FlyQuest Academy, my apologies, which means that they now know who they're playing against here from the side of Golden Guardians. His final pickup here for FlyQuest Academy will give us a better idea of what they're looking for as an entire team, though. They already have a fairly devastating team fight composition coming out. You have the Rakan, the Varus for hard engage coming in from the bottom lane, Rise as that mid lane DPS carry here in the hands of Triple, and with Nidalee getting locked in, it's going to be looking like even more poke here. But that final lock in here, the Pantheon, another spicy pick coming in from Golden Guardians Academy.
While FlyQuest Academy did just lock in a lot of early power and a lot of range and early access to skirmishes, A pick like Pantheon is a lot more difficult to break. As long as he has that Aegis shield up, he can deny all of that damage that's coming toward him. That's what we're getting as the 5th pick for Niles in this game. A counter pick into the Camille for Philip, a response into all this dive that's coming his way, and even more global threat for Golden Guardians Academy. If you are in a side lane by yourself, no, you're not. The Grand Starfall and the Destiny and the Bard Ultimate, everything is coming your way. You're going to have to run. You're going to have to be so careful if you are a member of FlyQuest trying to farm safely inside.
It's definitely going to be a game of pick versus poke. It seems like here you got Varus, you got the Nidalee, double spears, double arrows coming in here, trying to harass out their opponents to allow Triple and Philip to look for these hard engages on the side of FlyQuest Academy. But if you're ever stuffed up too far forward, it is going to mean that Golden Guardians Academy is going to be able to pressure you for trying to make these advantageous plays on the side of FlyQuest Academy. As we are hopping into first game here, ladies and gentlemen, week 3, day 2. This is for the eliminations on the loser side bracket, FlyQuest Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy.
As FlyQuest in this series, I think most people, after watching the Academy regular season and even the playoffs as well, as they did play a pretty solid best of 5 or did go to 5 games, I think most people were not really expecting them to be down here in the lower bracket this early, but their opponent previously against Dignitas Academy has been really fired up recently, and that does mean that FlyQuest find themselves in a more precarious situation, fighting for their lives against another Academy team, even though they are that 3rd seed. And, I mean, they're not alone in that one. The other team that we're going to be covering that is Academy in the next series is the 2nd seed for Cloud9 Academy, but just goes to show you that anything can really happen in the Proving Grounds tournament. That's why it's so special. That's why it's so fun to watch. And really glad that we are back on the stream again, Icarus. We're getting another bout of action today.
It's always so exciting to see the development of the North American region is in its max. You have all these new players that are coming into the scene, and there's kind of been an outcry in the LCS and the pro scene for North America in general to see some new faces, to see some talent that is going to really be able to contest at Worlds, and this is where it all kind of starts. And, it's a little bit of a long shot for sure, but once you start getting this pipeline, once you start seeing these developmental rosters that are bringing in new and upcoming stars, talent, you love to see them continue to push themselves against other players of the same caliber and push themselves towards that high level tier play that we all love to see. And already we're seeing some aggression coming up from the bottom lane here. Johnson stepping forward. He's going to get that Ignite throw down on him by Newbie, who's trying to trade with that Guardian. He has the passive stacks going down here. At the end of the day, it's a positive trade for Golden Guardians Academy bot lane, though.
It's a tough trade to go for if you are FlyQuest Academy's bot side. The melee minions are already well beyond where you're going to trade there, so you're going to be taking pretty heavy fire from the minions, let alone the double range of the Ezreal and the Bard. One of the really nice parts of the pair here is just how much lane harass they can get before they start roaming around, because Prismal and Newbie, if anything in this game, they are showing that they are very strong as a laning duo, but they're even better when it comes to those late-game instances. And I think Newbie, while they're being pushed in right now, wants to get out of this lane as soon as possible and start stunning people to death with things like the Gold Card and the Pantheon Slam. All these point-click stun options make sure in the early game you can just 100-0 someone.
Before Yumbi can do that, though, he does have to hit that level 6 in order to get access to Destiny, which does provide an opening for NXI on the side of FlyQuest to make this map pressure go in favor of the side of FlyQuest Academy before they're able to get these global ultimates on the board. You need to hit that level 6 ultimate power spike from Niles, from Yumbi, if you want to try and pressure the map. Meanwhile, Nidalee has always really been known for her early ganking potential and how much pressure she can provide for her team. Opting to go towards the bottom side of the map, not going to try and fight Rosethorn here. NXI instead is going to trade Scuttles on the opposite side of the map. Rosethorn will see that the top side has already been cleared out, which means it's just going to be some full clears here so far from both of these junglers.
Rosethorn slightly behind on the Krug take, but feeling pretty alright about the Scuttle Crab's swap there, I would imagine, because FlyQuest really just brought every single member down to that bot side Scuttle. They had a ton of bot lane pressure thanks to the push from Johnson and Dreams, and that means that NXI can take that one with ease and go back to base, get some more pressure in these items. See what he actually gets. Got a boot and a book. Feeling okay with this one. He can get back, He's doing some speed reading with that.
He's going to be doing some speed reading and hopefully some speed clearing here. Wants to try and get rotating through all of his camps, though he's running straight towards that top side of the map. Might be looking to reset on the Wolves. Potentially try and punish Niles here, who is getting slowly pushed underneath turret. A potential dive being set up here on the top side of the map here from FlyQuest Academy. The wave in the mid lane also being pushed out here by Triple. They do want to try and make their way towards this top lane and shut down the Pantheon.
As long as Niles keeps his E, though, he likely will be okay in a dive situation. This is a very tricky champion to overcome when he just has flat-out damage immunity when he casts that spell in your direction. It's very tricky to overcome at that point. So I like that Niles locked in this champion as a counter pick to that, and still has that pressure later on if they decide to go for anything fancy. But fancy hasn't really been the name of the game for Golden Guardians in this one thus far. Rosethorn maybe going for a counter gank down here. Nice stun against the wall for Dreams.
The stun against the wall. There's going to be a dash away to Johnson to safety, so no successful gank found just quite yet as we're cressing over that 5.5 minute mark. It will mean that the bottom side priority is going back over towards Golden Guardians. So that dragon, first one on the map here, is going to be the Infernal Drake, available to either one of these teams, though it does look like Rosethorn might want to start this one up now that the bot lane is shoving in his favor. He's going to go help clear out mid wave, try and maybe prevent this dive that is finally being set up again on the top side of the map.
Again, though, this is mostly just going to be pressuring for Niles. Niles wisely staying well away from the range of Nidalee and potentially Rise as well. But the wave is not in a great position for him. He's going to need to use those spears to get farmed from afar. We're seeing another gank attempt from Rosethorn in mid lane. Really hard to kill anyone and lock anyone down with your pillar as long as they have that phase rush, and Triple wisely taking that rune choice in this game.
Level 6 has been achieved here. Teleport being used in the mid lane by Yunbi just to try and catch his next wave after that reset. He's able to pick up an early Merc Treads for himself here, trying to provide himself more dueling potential versus this Nidalee and Rise mid-jungle duo. A lot of magic damage coming in from that mid-jungle of FlyQuest Academy, so a great early pickup here in order to keep himself alive. Really going towards that supportive build, Smax, trying to make sure that he can just shove out these lanes, make sure he can get that ultimate out into a side wave there, and try and get started on helping his other members, either it be Niles or it be Prismal and Newbie in the bottom side of the map.
As we wait for the Twisted Fate ultimate to arrive, we're again seeing this top lane for Philip, where he's trying to keep the wave away from Niles, and it is just so difficult to actually do, because at any moment Niles can just jump on you, stun you, and take half of your HP. It's just the Pantheon base damage putting in a lot of work. And it looks like Niles is actually going for a more damage-oriented build at this time, too, as he does show a Tear of the Goddess early on. A Manamune eventually for Pantheon. This is not a build that has been traditionally built on this champion, even since the rework. It helps you with a sustain in the lane, so maybe this is just like a really cheap mana option for Niles, as you have a gank set up for Rosethorn. NXI here, too.
FlyQuest Academy doesn't want to let this dive happen now that the wave has finally been pushed back into that turret, so we'll be able to bounce back. The rotation is coming in here. There is the Pantheon ultimate available. Flash over the wall. That's going to be Niles going forward. Triple has to flash away. The Ignite going down, but it's going to be the Guardian from Dreams that keeps him alive so far. Flash away will keep him safe. It's going to be the re-engage. FlyQuest Academy. First blood goes over to NXI. Niles is going to find himself going down for a double kill as a great re-engage is coming along from the 4-man unit of FlyQuest Academy.
We mentioned the point-click stuns for Golden Guardians and how they really want to use those onto one single target and fully burst them down. But it turns out Golden Guardians just don't have enough damage to do it quite yet. They need more of those swords, they need more of those books to get this one down. And not only that, they commit all of their flashes here. Dreams with an excellent roam makes this one completely survivable. And then Philip, 3-man flash stun with the hook shot. Expertly done, punishing Golden Guardians for grouping up on this play. That's an easy 2 kills to achieve for the members of FlyQuest.
And it's so well done there on the re-engage by FlyQuest Academy. Unfortunately, they are not going to be the team that is able to find this first dragon. Instead, Rosethorn getting back on the map with NXI on that top side, picking up the Rift Scuttle will mean it's going to be a top objective for the bottom one. Infernal Drake is a fantastic dragon to pick up solo for yourself here. Instead, FlyQuest Academy are going to be looking to continue and pressure this early gold lead that they've already developed for themselves. It's only 1,000 gold so far. At just 9 minutes in, so not too bad. But with 2 kills going over into the hands of NXI, this star jungler from the side of FlyQuest Academy here, he is going to be looking to make this Nidalee pop off. And this is exactly the person that you want to be having these early leads, considering how early game reliant Nidalee is.
We mentioned before as well that for FlyQuest, they are so consistent when it comes to the late game macro setups in the side lanes, setting up for their objectives, making sure that if they are trading them, they're getting something across the map all the while. And NXI being this bridge carry in the early game makes it so easy for FlyQuest to do. Now 2 kills on Nidalee. Those spears are going to hurt so hard, especially with the Hextech alternator getting even more burst damage out of your first rotation.
Oof.
It's a scary prospect for Golden Guardians to deal with, and not only that, Rosethorn down about 5 camps in this game. It's not going to get any easier. This Nidalee will scale up to be a damage threat and a utility threat with the healing, as long as you get that ability power.
It's a scary world indeed here for Golden Guardians so far, as we do have Philip going in for the 1v1 on the top side of the map. He has the team coming in, though, as Rise, using that Realm Warp, is going to be able to bring up NXI. Just barely walking away, though. Niles making it out with his life, despite not having that flash available.
Mentioned how difficult it is to kill Niles in the side lane, but they might as well have just done so, because they now get to set up this wave for Philip. He's in such a disadvantageous matchup that really all this pressure is going to make it easier for him to scale, because Pantheon, while it's a good matchup in the lane, you don't outdamage Camille late game. There aren't really any champions in this game that will be able to do that. The only one that could be is maybe a Fiora, but that wasn't picked. It was the counterpick of the Pantheon. They wanted to win out in this lane. Niles has a huge CS advantage, but all the pressure ganks arriving up here, thanks to that Realm Warp, thanks to NXI being so powerful early game, are going to make it that much easier for Philip. And again, you are just wanting for FlyQuest to bridge themselves to late game. You want to get to that point, and then you know that this is what you've been practicing the entire year.
And it's interesting to see that FlyQuest, with this early lead, is the first team that is able to kind of make that global play with the team teleport happen on the top side of the map. We've been talking about it all early game here, that Yunvi and Niles both coming in with these global teleportation ultimates that want to try and pressure elsewhere on the map, but they have not been able to get that Destiny or that Grand Starfall out just quite yet. Niles has been really the focus of a lot of pressure here from the side of FlyQuest Academy, and because of this, he hasn't been able to find an opportunity to leave his lane and try and impact other lanes just quite yet.
And it's an interesting spot for Golden Guardians where they really have champions in all 3 of their lanes that want to go elsewhere, right? As you said, the Pantheon ultimate means that you want to go help out the rest of the map. So does Twisted Fate ultimate, so does Bard. You're trying to magical journey your way outside of bot lane, leave your shrines and go. And you even have things like the Ezreal ultimate to help in a fight around the map as well. So for Golden Guardians, like, they've got all these tools to help out elsewhere, but when they are behind, they're trying to use them, or just not use them, and help out their lanes, stem the bleeding, make sure that the flood doesn't keep coming through below deck on the ship, because they want to keep afloat, they want to keep going fishing, but they can't actually fish. They have to worry about everything else.
You can't be a helper if there's nobody to help, because you're all too busy trying to help each other here. As once again, we're seeing NXI visiting this top side of the map. This time, though, we do have Dreams that has already made his way up towards the top side as well. Newbie following as well. Great call here by Golden Guardians Academy to have both their support and jungler on top side of the map, understanding that this is what FlyQuest Academy wants to try and force here. Philip going underneath turret, but that might not be it. He has to use the ultimate in order to disengage away from the turret. Aggro is going to be Golden Guardians Academy. They have to back away. Now it's extremely low, but he does have teleport and ultimate available. Newbie, great use of the ultimate there in order to buffer out that Rift Herald charge. So it is going to be a waste of the Rift Herald there from NXI. Great counter coming in from the Golden Guardians Academy.
This is what we wanted to see for Golden Guardians. They send all these members up top. They finally do find a use for these ultimates. And, I mean, it's not a proactive play necessarily, but it does save themselves a huge gold advantage that would have gone over to FlyQuest if they gave over that kill to Niles, if they give over those turret platings to Philip. It's just a nice response play, and while Niles is still trying to go for proactive plays, using that Grand Starfall to catch out Johnson very wisely backs away and gives up that pressure, knowing that the rest of FlyQuest went on that journey up top, so nobody was there to save him.
And what that ultimate does buy for Golden Guardians, however, yes, the pressure on the bottom side, but more importantly, that second dragon of the game is going to be going over into the hands of the red side team here. They're going to be putting themselves on this early dragon stacking, if possible. 14.5 minutes in, they already have 2 dragons, which means we're looking at a potential ocean soul here in just 10 minutes at 24 minutes, and that's going to provide so much work here for Golden Guardians when they're trying to apply pressure to all these side lanes. They can really start the split push that they want to do with the Pantheon in the side lane, with the Twisted Fate in the side lane. They don't have to worry about being killed or harassed out, and then whenever they're ready, once these lanes have been shoved out, they're going to be able to use those ultimates, unlock themselves from the side lane, and collapse on either the mid lane or collapse into whatever side lane has the most amount of pressure, and they can start looking to really take advantage of their split push composition that they've drafted for themselves.
Scaling is certainly available for Golden Guardians, but at the same time, that FlyQuest early bridge for NXI, he's still here. He is still threatening, and if he does decide to go for any of these plays, you have to watch out. I feel like FlyQuest, they really need to get things going in that regard. 15 minutes have gone by now, and there was really only that one big successful play, and it was, in all things, just a response to what Niles and Yunbi were doing, flashing over that wall. Seems like FlyQuest are also content for this one to go to that late game. Seen some pretty solid late games from them, but the same is true for Golden Guardians. We saw just how much damage Niles was able to put out on the gangplank against TSM Academy just a bit ago, as... I guess we have to mention this, NXI did flash over that wall. He was scared of getting stunned up by Bard, so that tool is no longer available.
A little bit less of an execution tool available for the side of NXI here in FlyQuest Academy as they start up the second Rift Herald of this game. Hopefully, they're going to be able to have this one crash and make work for themselves. I would like to see this one being placed down in the mid lane because, as you mentioned, Smacks, they do need to get the ball rolling here for themselves if they want to continue and use the pressure that NXI has developed here. They will secure that second Shelly, and they're going straight back towards this top side of the map. They're putting a lot of pressure here into the hands of Philip, and they want to really make sure that their late game insurance policies of this Rise, of this Camille, are going to be able to do the damage in the late game that they need them to do, and that means making sure that this Camille, that Philip, is able to survive this early game. And so far, 16 minutes in, they have done a fantastic job of providing him the resources he needs.
Still waiting on the first turret of the game to crash, though. Is another Rift Herald. Is NXI locked up?
That's going to be the Tempered Fate coming in. The ultimates are coming out. Destiny and Grand Starfall. NXI gets shut down as Niles finds the kill for Golden Guardians in their first successful team fight.
I mean, it was more of a pick as well, as they already blew the flash of NXI earlier in that top lane. A nice Tempered Fate from Newbie is not able to be jumped out of by NXI. The movement spells were already depleted. And just a great play from Golden Guardians as we do get to watch. Oh, we get the cinematic angle. Here comes Niles. Oh. That's the Pantheon song, by the way.
You want to like do the sound effects too, and just as he like goes crashing down through the dirt. Like, what would it sound like if you're on the Rift?
I don't know if I can make that sound with my mouth. I don't know if I'm that skilled, but maybe if you gave me some time and some props, I could do it.
Get back to me on it, Smacks. I'll expect it on my desk in a week from now.
Yeah. For Niles, though, just a nice kill for himself. We see now that he's got the Score Drinker. He has all these survival tools against Philip. And again, we're not really expecting Niles to be able to survive a late game Camille in the side lane in a 1v1 if he's the one to be the one engaging. But if you're playing defensively, then at the same time, there's not really a way that Philip can kill you. And I mean, this looks more aggressive to me than defensive.
Yeah, Philip getting a little bit of a pick off here. He has to use the Hexagon Ultimate in order to try and buy himself some time. The hook shot does land on the wall, but the killer interrupts him, and the flash forward there from Niles will secure him yet another kill. Niles, he got focused so hard in the early game, he wants his revenge.
And Newbie's just so lethal on the Bard as well. 2 kills back-to-back with the picks. Doesn't even need to cast his ultimate on this one. And you can't get out even with Flash. There is so much crowd control to deal with. You got the Bard stun, the Pantheon stun, the Trundle Pillar. There's not anything that you can do as long as Golden Guardians are being patient and waiting for Philip to use all the movement. It's exactly what they do in this play. That's exactly what they did to kill NXI before. And I'm just really loving the patience again from Golden Guardians. This is just such a really cool composition. We were expecting more action early game, but you know what they need to do.
Fate comes out in order to buy time, in order to keep Roseland alive here. That's going to be Niles coming up the Grand Starfall. Once again, he makes his way into the backline. He's on Johnson, who's dropping down extremely low. He finally finishes off the kill. Meanwhile, top side of this fight, you do have Philip once again joining this fight, but he's up Creek without a battle as he goes down. Double kill secured by UMB as 3 members of FlyQuest Academy fall. Dragon is on the map. Mid lane turret will go down, and everything is coming up Golden Guardians Academy.
And that one feels more like a team fight based on just how many members of both teams are there, but really at the same time, at the core of what's going on, it is just a bunch of picks back to back to back as we get to see this one again. We're seeing the FlyQuest are setting up for a bush camp. They want to make sure that they don't lose a third Drake in a row. They find Rosethorn, but this champion is just so difficult to kill. And again, another play from Newbie makes this so difficult. And this map gets completely split up. Johnson gets obliterated by this Pantheon damage. And it's so split that you can't play front to back if you are FlyQuest, even though they really want to be able to do this with all this backline that they have. They have Varus, they have Ryze, and they have the frontline disruptors of Rakan and Camille, but they're not able to do this. They're completely scrambled off of one R press from Newbie.
And Newbie's just been showing up huge with these Tempered Fates.
Yeah.
Rift Herald will be dropped in the bottom lane. It was expiring in the hands of NXI, who has been struggling to really try and capitalize off of the early game double kill that he was able to find for himself here. It is Golden Guardians Academy that are really making this global composition with Newbie's Tempered Fate, with the Destiny, with the Pantheon Grand Starfall coming in from across the map. Every time we see Golden Guardians fight, we think it's just 1 or 2 members that are there, but suddenly the entire team is following up, and it's because they're using this global pressure from all the ultimates that they have so expertly. And this has allowed them to reach a point at the game where they're 21 minutes into this game, Smacks, and they are already pressuring that sole point with 3 dragons to their name. They picked up a turret for themselves, and they have now developed a 1,000 gold lead in their favor.
I think the most impressive thing about this mid game for Golden Guardians is that you clearly saw their early game plans went slightly haywire for them, as they might be going for yet another pick. That is Destiny popped in range with the gold card.
Niles is going to be walking up here. The X-Hack ultimatum has to be used in order to buy some time, and that hook shot over the wall will secure Philip to safety here. But as you said, Smacks, it is just pick attempt after pick attempt here from Golden Guardians. Baron is now on the table as well. I don't think they're going to be looking to start this one up anytime soon, but if there's another successful pick with Golden Guardians and the tempo that they've developed for themselves so far with constantly finding successful pick attempts, then they could be looking to try and pressure the big purple worm eventually.
Yeah, and as I was saying, the early game didn't really have the same ferocity that you usually expect from an early game plan, but for Golden Guardians, that's not really what this game is about. They know what their champions want to do in the mid game. I mean, clearly they do. They're going for it over and over and over again. And to me, as long as you can stabilize in the early game and not give over just a tremendous lead to FlyQuest, which they did manage to do. They stayed within about 1,000 gold. If you have that strong mid-game plan and you can execute on it with really strong mechanics, specifically from Newbie, shout out to him. This has been an amazing performance from him so far. Then that's so much more valuable than an early game plan because you have a lot longer of a time frame to use those ultimates. You can get some cooldown reduction, you can, or ability haste as it is now called, and you can have just constant uptime for all these globals. And now that I'm thinking about it, now that I'm seeing it in front of my eyes, that's really what this comp is all about.
Global pressure, knowing your strengths, which is right now for Golden Guardians Academy with that Mirror Mana coming online here for Prismal, just completing that tier item, as well as Niles. He's just a couple of stacks away from completing that Metamune that he's been working on all game as well. So this Pantheon and Ezreal hitting their kind of 2-item power spike here. This is where they are strongest in the game. And Medjai is also being picked up here by the hands of Yunbi. So going for a little bit of the disrespectful book pickup here. You love to see it. I'm a huge fan of Medjai's. I think that item is extremely strong, but we got another pick happening on top side of the map. Triple has to use the ultimate in order to get away. The flash is brought in by Niles, but is not going to be able to secure the stun here as a great Everfrost buys time for Triple to walk away.
Oh, that was so close on the margin for whether or not he got the Realm Warp out of there. Yunbi and Niles both flashing to try to get those stuns on top of him, but Triple just barely making it out, and it's not like the Realm Warp went very far either. He just used it to avoid out the gold card and gain just a slight amount of distance, and that's all it takes for FlyQuest to avoid another pick attempt. At this point, FlyQuest have done a pretty solid job of this one over the past 5 or so minutes. And they've really needed to do exactly that, because if you give over these picks just in time for the Drake Soul, then Golden Guardians just have their scaling online already. You can't necessarily beat through all of the healing in combat from the Ocean Soul. FlyQuest, they know that they can't afford to give over such a gigantic buff in the mid game, not even in the late game quite yet. They have stacked up for this play.
They still gotta win the fight though, Smacks, as this one starts off. Rosethorn gets chunked out, but it is Dreams that goes down immediately. The first kill going over to the hands of Newbie here as we are fighting around the Dragon Soul potential here for Golden Guardians. Philip has to back away over the wall to make sure he doesn't get picked off here, and it's a 4v5 for the side of FlyQuest Academy. They have not started up the Dragon just quite yet. You do have a reset coming in from Rosethorn, so the jungler will be back in base healing up. He is back up to full health and is making his way quickly back onto the Rift here. A quick moment of respite here before the Trundle shows up once again.
Ooh, but everyone's on this ward for the side of FlyQuest. That is a really sneaky one for the members of Golden Guardians. Another stun connects, and that's the trigger to start this fight again.
Oh, it's going to be a blink away. It's so tense. That's Niles, the Grand Starfall. The fight starts again. Destiny coming in as Johnson has to cleanse and flush away. This doesn't matter, though, as NXI is going to be taking the gold card to the face and goes down. Johnson will be able to pick up a kill onto Newbie on the backside of that one. It is 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but it's now Golden Guardians that have the advantageous position in the river. They have started up the Dragon here, Smacks. You have to do something if you are FlyQuest Academy. Teleport coming in from Philip on the backside of the fight. He's going to come over the wall. Dragon has been secured, but the re-engage on the Niles will mean that he's going down. No! A great stopwatch is going to make sure that Niles survives with the Dragon Soul secured by the side of Golden Guardians Academy, and now they are looking to back away. They are looking to take their prize and take over the map.
Ooh, another teleport though. Triple on the flank. Can he actually find any play? No, it's Prismal being confident enough to blink forward, and now Triple's gonna have to be on the run. Dreams doesn't have quickness quite yet. It's a stun onto him, a shutdown onto Triple. They get even more than they asked for with the Ocean Dragon Icarus. Even more kills, and Golden Guardians have their scaling on lock.
They got all 4 dragons in breakneck fashion here, Smacks, and that fight went on absolutely forever. We saw the first kickoff happen at the very start where Dreams gets immediately blown up. By the time Dragon was taken, Dreams had respawned and made his way back into that fight. So we can see here that stun making huge moves here for the side of Golden Guardians Academy to claim priority over Dragon.
And watch the way that they use these global tools. It's not just the global power that you get out of this, it's the long-range engage that you get from that Grand Starfall and the creative use of the Destiny as well. Even rapid-fire cannon securing the kill in the end. We get another Bard ultimate. Newbie is too good!
It's so clean. Johnson is going to get stunned up here. He has to walk away. Niles coming in with a restun, though. Will put himself on a rampage here as he takes out the 80 carry from FlyQuest Academy. That might be the Baron call as we see pings coming down in the top side river here immediately. All 5 members of Golden Guardians Academy are looking towards this big purple buff.
Newbie is absolutely ridiculous with these tempered fates, and he's going to play bodyguard for this one as well. They've got a ward in this brush, swept out now by FlyQuest. You have to start the fight.
Destiny coming in here. That's the gold card. They want to try and start this one. The stopwatch has been used by Triple. We're going to try and buy as much time as possible. Philip's going into the back line, but it's not going to be enough.
Pillar
gets blown up. Triple gets blown up. The pillar is cutting off the retreat from FlyQuest Academy as Prismal is here. He finds the double kill, and it's going to be a team fight secure, and Baron is the prize for Golden Guardians.
It's so easy for every member of Golden Guardians to pick off the stragglers for FlyQuest. Johnson gets taken out before, and that's really the only reach that FlyQuest have to get into this pit at all. They have to face check with all of the rest of their members, and we see this is the aftermath of that one. This is FlyQuest attempting desperately to get into the pit. They overreach a bit, they get into this range of Yunbi with the Destiny, and not only does Destiny give him the relocation, but it spots out where where Philip is on the flank. It makes it so easy for Golden Guardians to prepare for that flank. And then Rosethorn as well, cutting through that fight, making it so difficult to play around this corridor, because you just can't get away from the Pillar of Ice. It's slowing every member of FlyQuest, and Golden Guardians are just taking this entire game by storm. This is such an impressive performance.
These last couple of team fights have absolutely blown up the game here for Golden Guardians as well. Suddenly, they went from being behind in the early game to now at a phenomenal 7,500 gold lead for themselves. They are showing so strong here, and a lot of this is going to be off the back of Newbie, as we've been talking about all game here. These Tempered Fates have been making pick after pick after pick, and we thought it was going to be the Destiny and the Grand Starfall, the real large global ultimates that are making these kinds of plays happen. But no, it is this Bard that is showing up huge here, and then that allows for Niles and Yunbi to continuously look for these deep dives, and they're finding their ways into the back line, constantly finding just successful team fights for themselves. Not even team fights, as you've been saying, Smacks, it's just successful pick and pick and pick, and sometimes they're just chained together.
It's been just such a cool way to play Bard, because typically in solo queue, if you see Bard, you're like, alright, well, I'm going to have to play on an island if I'm the AD carry. That guy's going to roam at level 2. I'll see you later in the late game, maybe we'll be on the same screen. But for Golden Guardians, Newbie made sure to keep Prismal alive and safe in that lane the entire time, and that's exactly what happened. Prismal in a very comfortable spot in this game, wasn't dove, wasn't attempted to be killed. He's 304 on this Ezreal, so strong with these 3 items, and it means I can go for fights like this.
The Pillar triple gets caught off right off the bat. The Tempered Fate, in order to stall out Johnson on the backside of the fight, his Dreams is going deep into the enemy lines. He's not going to be able to find a big enough of a stun on the Golden Guardians in order to make anything really happen there, as he gets immediately blown up. Johnson will be going down to the flash and dash from Niles as he slams his shield into the ground and takes out the AD carry. It is 4 dead once again here from the side of FlyQuest Academy, as we have the back coming in from UMB here. A teleport will be used on the minions. NXI, you had an early lead for yourself, but you were not able to carry it over here. Instead, it is Golden Guardians with a phenomenal Bard play and a global composition that take down the next game 1.
Newbie is making this champion look so strong, Icarus. What a bout from him. The player that honestly has been looking for that redemption arc throughout the entire summer split. He and Niles had their time in LCS for Golden Guardians cut short by that spring split. They come into summer, they're trying to make it work on this academy team. They have to play through Unified to even get to Proving Grounds, and now they're performing against the 3rd seed, one of the strongest academy teams, first place in the regular season in FlyQuest Academy, and it's off the back of these 2 players who are really making waves when it comes to that redemption arc that we're hoping to see from them.
And if there's any way to prove that you deserve a slot back in the LCS, back on the main rosters of the Golden Guardians team, it is through some of these phenomenal plays that you're going to be seeing here at Proving Grounds, going up against the best of not just Academy, but Amateur as well, as the rest of the members on the side of Golden Guardians looking strong as well. Rosethorn with some of that Trundle play, doing excellent placement on his pillars the entire time. Prismal, the silent but sure shot carry for his team. And then we can't forget about Yunbi, excellent placement with all of his destinies. And I love the RFC Twisted Fate build. We saw the RFC downtown gold card throws really put in work for him, and he was always placing himself right at the perfect spot where he's able to make picks happen for his team without putting himself in an advantageous or dangerous position.
Super impressive play for Golden Guardians. They have all the momentum in this series. It is that best of 3. We're going to get to see at least a second game, so FlyQuest have another shot to come back into this one. I'm looking forward to that, Icarus. I can't wait to see if they can turn this one around as well, because FlyQuest have had some really strong performances all throughout the year as well.
FlyQuest had a strong early game for this game as well, so we'll have to see in game 2. But ladies and gentlemen, before we can do that, we're going to throw it over to a quick delay, so do not go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes with game 2 here between FlyQuest Academy and Golden Guardians Academy in the 3rd week, 2nd day here of 2021 Proving Grounds.